Hi everyone, today we're gonna review my Volvo S40 2.4 with the inline 5 cylinder. I have owned this car now for 5 years. In those 5 years I have driven with it a little bit over 50,000 kilometers, so it kinda has an easy life here. I took it onto a trip in Austria in 2017, 2 months after I purchased the car, which was a great way to get to know the car. And last summer I drove to Italy, which I will show some footage of in this video. I took it to many trips in Germany. I drove on the Autobahn quite a few times with this car, and I must say it's just a great car for long distance cruising. It's not the fastest car in the world, but it's a great cruiser. Between 130 and 160 is where it feels at home, and actually, to be quite honest, that's fast enough. This is the second car I have owned after the Volkswagen Polo, and the Polo I owned for 4.5 years. And within 4.5 years I have driven more than 100,000 kilometers. But this is not about the Polo, this is about the Volvo. I'm very happy to own this car. It's a great car. It's done a lot of things for me, and it really has grown on me. First of all, I will list some great things and some not so great things about the car, and trust me, the list of great things is bigger and will outweigh the list of not so great things about this S40. So one of the best things about this car is its 5-cylinder engine. It's a bulletproof unit from Volvo. It's been around very long. I think this is the second generation actually. This is the continuation of the early 90s 5-cylinder, which really made the Volvo a household brand and make many people fall in love with the brand. It's a bulletproof engine. It's a 2.5 liter inline 5 with only 140 horsepower in my S40, which makes sure that the engine doesn't have to work that hard. It's really great on torque. I can pull away in the third gear 20 kilometers an hour and it just pulls like nothing happens. I like that. It just gives you great confidence. It just lets you know that it can do anything. I also really love the soundtrack, especially in the higher revs. It sounds great, and it's very good. It almost uses no oil. When I compare that to my Polo, that one at the end uses quite so much oil. And when you check the Volkswagen forums, they all said like, oh, it's normal. It's just the motor characteristics. It's just part of owning a Volkswagen. And Audi has the same kind of story. These engines use oil, and that within itself is not so bad, but I didn't have any problem with that in the Volvo. So I think it's a better engine. It has a long track record. These cars, when treated right, you can drive half a million kilometers or upwards to that. There are on the Volvo forum people bragging that they drive 700,000, 800,000 kilometers with this car, and they didn't have to do a lot of maintenance work on them. They're not so great in town because then they really fuel inefficient, I would say. They start using quite some fuel. But on the highway is really where they find themselves at home. And then together with the great seats, the nice torquey engine, it's just a nice, relaxing, long-distance cruiser. I got this S40 as an Edition 2, which is in 2007, is just before the facelift. So this is actually the way it came onto the market in 2004. And this was kind of a run-out model with nice rims and, all the things that you want, nice seats. It's quite of an analog car, but I think that's a good thing because then not a lot of things can go broken. Because this car is now 15 years old, so you have 15-year-old electronics in a car, and these cars are not known for many electrical issues. But the more electronics you put in there, the more chance of things getting wrong. Again, I mentioned it already, it's a long-distance cruiser, and why? Because it has great seats, it has a comfortable engine that is very torquey, it has a lot of pulling power, and it's just, the car makes you relaxed. So you will not be stressed. It's not like a very hardcore 3 Series with very stiffened suspension, and that you feel every bump in the road, and you're like, this is really like a cruiser, and that's the way you want to cruise to Austria or Italy, for instance. Also a great thing, which I think it's not very flash. It really grows on you. I mean, you can look at it as just a boring Volvo, but for me, when I bought it, I was looking for a V50 or an S40, maybe even an older S60, but soon as I saw the advertisement of this car, it just had something about it. Didn't have a lot of kilometers, just below 120k for 10 years, so that's 12k a year. It's about the same I drive now, actually. So it didn't have a very hard life. It was always maintained by the Volvo dealer, and it just breathed a lot of confidence towards me. And again, it's not flash, it's not like a 3 Series or an A4. And when you look at A4s and 3 Series from 2007, you still need to pay quite a lot of money, and they're not as reliable as this 5-cylinder. I mean, reliability is something I don't mind paying more at the fuel pump for the petrol than standing in the garage and pay money for parts that fail on you. So that's just a very conscious decision, and also nobody will look twice in an S40. But as soon as you get in it and you drive 300, 400, 500 kilometers, back to back, then you know exactly why this car is great, and that makes it such a nice cruiser. Of course, every car has downsides as well. I mean, it's not very economical. When you drive it fast on the highway, it really starts using quite some petrol. I mean, it's all within reason, I would say, but it's not economical. I mean, 1 liter every 8 kilometers, when you really push upon it, I mean, it's not from this time no more. In 2004, 2005, it was fine, but nowadays you see this is not the most economical engine. It's easily to be looked over because it's reliable and it gives you a great soundtrack in return. So, but just to be honest, this is not the most economical car. If you drive short distances and you drive to the city a lot, this car will really, a 60-liter tank, you can hopefully stretch it up to 450 kilometers when you drive in town. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And also when you want to pack lots of storage, there is not a lot of storage space in this car. It's just not. You have a boot that will fit 2 suitcases and maybe a bag, and that's it. And then within my own family, I mean, we always have one spare seat, so I put 1 or 2 bags on there. And that's it, basically. So you can't bring too much luggage around you. The V50 is a little bit better, but also not that much. That wants me to go for a station wagon instead. Overall, I'm very happy with the S40, and it will stay in the family for as long as possible until things get electrical and boring, I suppose. This car will stay. I mean, I built a bond with it. The Polo was also great, but this is just, I can see myself driving this for many years. Of course, I have a thing for German cars. I don't mind to have an A6 or a 5 Series or even an old E-Class. But the thing here in Holland is you pay a lot of money for those cars, insurance-wise, road tax. And when you have a nice E-Class, let's say you have an E400 or an E500, like with a V8, since I don't drive that much, I would be really careful parking it in those tight parking spaces that we have in Holland. I would be so afraid if somebody scratches it. That being said, I don't want anybody to scratch this car, but when this happens, it doesn't hurt me that much. If you catch my drift. Again, I really love it. It's such a nice, pleasant car. I still want to do many road trips in Europe before, gas prices really get out of hand and we're really being pushed into an electric car. But before that happens, I will drive many, many, many more kilometers in this car and really enjoy the 5-cylinder and the nice soundtrack and the great seats. And the stereo, which is, by the way, excellent. It's just a nice, it's standard, but it sounds good. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm in love with my car, and it will stay with me for a long time. I'm kind of infected by the Volvo virus. You could say that. Hope this video is useful for you. If you have any specific questions about my car or the experiences with the S40, please leave me a comment below this video and I will get back at you as soon as possible. Have a great day and thanks for watching this video. See you in the next one.